Hey there, it's Rusty Nelson, your college art professor, and we're working on some fundamental exercises for watercolor, working with some natural, organic, simple shapes and some really bold colors to come up with a really striking little watercolor if we're working our states and stages properly. So let's jump over and get started. All right, so here we're working with this setup. I have my CMYK color palette, black, a tint. I've sketched up a composition based on this reference up in the corner. So it looks like some nice little seed pods, very colorful, and I think it'll give us a chance to work with some color theory and a lot of color mixing, and we should have some fun with this. All right, so first things first, especially if I'm in my watercolor class, I like to kind of just start out and establish that background real fast. So I really love this color, and I'm going to mix up a very, very thin color of purple for the background out here. So the thing I really like about this is the shadows being cast from those little seed pods. So I'm working with a Grumbacher paper. I'm just going to throw a very thin purple onto the background. Irregular shape, very thin. I'll just bounce around, maybe vary it a little bit in the hue. I don't want to get too much of it going on the pods themselves, so I'm just going to work around, thin it out. It's just a very soft treatment right there. So come in here, work our way around. It can, on the back side of the shadow, we can kind of bring it in a little bit. But when it's closer to the pods, it's going to be a lot more orange, that reflective light on the ground. So we're just going to fix some very interesting looking colors out here. So now this is a Grumbacher paper. It's a little slower than the Canson, and I think it'll take the color a little better than the Canson paper too. So this should be fun. So that's really all I'm going to do for the background right there. Have an interesting little set of colors. All right, I'm going to grab my number 5 round. I'm going to mix up, I'm going to get just a real soft orange, not a lot of magenta in there. There we go. And again, this is going to be fairly thin as well. And we'll just come in and we're just going to block it in on parts of the piece where the yellow is the dominant color. We'll just mix it around. There we go. That looks good. Throw a little bit of it up here. Over on the side there. Pull it down. This one's got a lot of yellow in it. Okay. There we go. That looks pretty good. Get a little more in it right down in here. All right. And now I'm going to mix up more orange to it. There we go. And we'll just kind of do a real quick addition of some of those oranges. Get a little interaction. Now I'm going to pull some of that out into the shadow. Mix up a little thicker mixture of it now. There we go. A little more intense. I want it really coming right up in here as well. Right along that edge, get a shadow on there. Perfect. All right. And as that is doing its thing, I'm going to pull more of that purpley red. I'll work with that. A little more purple. Come on. There we go. All right. Then we're going to pull that down, and we're just going to have a nice cross dissolve. A little more blue. There we go. And we're going to just intensify that whole shadow like that, and then we'll throw that color a little more right there. So we're working with some contrasting colors here, and that's going to create a mud, so you're going to have to be careful with that. We'll see if we can do the other one over here, get a little more yellow back in it. Okay, we're going to come over here, get a little more of that right along in here. Perfect. And we'll get that red, violet right there. Okay, that's drying nice. I got a little bit of a color gradient happening there. We can work on that in a minute. I'm going to pull that color just a little bit right there too. Okay. We'll come back over, get a little more of this dark orange. Okay. All right, we'll get that purple again. Right here, we'll just throw that in there. And let those colors do a little color melding there. Got a lot of, I'm going to get a little more orange. Okay, I'm going to throw a little more of an intense red right there, right on that transition. All right, I'm going to throw this, there we go. And one more time, again, I'm using that photograph only as a rough guide for this composition. There we go. Get a little thicker mixture there. Unload it, come across, and we'll get some nice reddish orange. Throw that in there. We'll top it off with a little blue. There we go. All right, so we have really done a lot of cool things with the color palette so far. Just going to throw a few splatters out there. I'm going to thin that out. All right, make a couple lighter ones. Okay. And now, as that's drying, I'm going to come after some of the darker oranges. Get a nice magenta going there. And I'm going to swap over. I'm going to go over to my smaller, no, this is about number 3 it looks like. So we'll use the number 3. And I'm going to start, oh, I missed a couple of my seed pods. So these are oranger. So I didn't put as much of a yellow base on this. So but I'm going to mix a little more in. There we go. Good color base. Got that one. I'm going to get this one right here as well. Okay, cool. All right, there we go. I got those taken care of. And I'm going to come in with this one, and I'm going to just kind of start working some of the more saturated oranges in this and really start intensifying some of these saturations and colors that are happening here. There we go. Catch this little edge back here. Yeah, here we go. And we got a little more work right back here. Catch these back shapes. All right. And that's not as dark. I'm going to get a little more of a yellow color. It's still going to be a dark orange, but not as dark. So we're just going to shift. And actually, I'm going to start doing a little dry brush in here, I think. I want some of that crunchiness. There we go. I'm going to get this one as well. Cool. All right, back to my darker oranges. All right, yeah, these are a lot of fun because they are organic. You can get pretty expressive with the shapes. You don't have to be 100% accurate for it to read. You just kind of have to get in the shapes and the modes, get them just right, and it all starts to read and function. There we go. That's looking pretty cool. This is a great subject matter for just practicing your mark making. And get a little more. I'll feather that out up here just a little bit. Just pull that color out. Pull that color out. There we go. Okay. Build these out. I'm going to get this edge right here a little better. Cool. All right, now I'm going to come up here. Okay, we'll just build out. Find that edge, come right down. Catch this one as well. We'll add some textures there here in a little while. And I'm going to intensify. I'll be putting some stronger yellow glazes on that soon as well. So there we go. This whole side here is very, very orange. Gets very orange right down here, right down to the tip of it. Okay. There like that. So we got some saturated shapes there going. I'm going to throw got that shadow coming across the thing as well. All right. I mean, gosh, purple, red, yellow, orange. I mean, this is a fun, quick little study. Something that you can get really good at understanding what your watercolors do and where you're placing stuff. The marks, your mark making is important. All right, so I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to scrub a little more texture on the surface of that one. And I need to do the same thing over here on this one. Just going to get a little more color into it on top of that structure. And maybe right in here. Cool. And we'll just throw a little more of it back in here. Okay, so that needs some glazing. So does the top one. That color really did dry a lot lighter. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll get a little more color intensity happening here. And looks like I stuck my finger in some of the water drops. I'll deal with that in a minute. Okay, cool. All right, so again, okay. When these kind of things happen, you can just come in. Again, just lighten it up, soften it up, let it set for a second, daub it up. Or let's make us some more purple. Up, I just went to a gray. That's not necessarily bad because I kind of want that in a couple of spots. All right. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to just intensify some of the colors down here. A little more of the structure. Needs to be a little denser. There we go. All right. So now I'm just going to come in. I'm going to start bouncing around and building out some of the structures here. It's too thin. Okay. I'm doing all this with just contrasting colors at the moment. Some surface qualities, some surface textures. This is using that purple for some modeling. There we go. So we're starting to get a nice sense of structure on this one. There we go. That one looks pretty good. I have no idea why I went with that one first. It just felt right, right? All right, so using that purple again. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to add a little more of it into the lower portion of this, just for a little more density on that corner and that edge. Feather it out. I'm going to probably glaze more color onto it. Feather that out just a little bit. There we go. Still just building structure. Adding a little more texture detail into this. I'm working with about a milk consistency, so it's still fairly thin. Get a redder red here. There we go. Okay, again, more textural type work. And I'm going to feather some of this out. It's a little too sharp. Okay. Come back over, get some of this orange. Gonna come back in and build a little more of the surface. And again, if you are running into issues, I've lost a highlight here, so I'm going to come in. I'm just going to remove that pigment right there, recapture that highlight, that lighter orange right there. And I could even do that. I'm going to get my brush, do a little more picking. I can kind of pull some of the highlights out of these shapes as well. Pull it back over there. But actually, I think this, I need a little more yellow. There we go. It was begging for a little more yellow. Yeah. Just keep bringing those yellows up. A little more yellow over here, definitely. Down in here. And there's even, as soon as I get to it, I'm going to introduce a little more of the green. Here, I'm going to get some green. There we go. Throw just a smidge of green in here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We'll throw a little bit of that also. Right down in here. Get rid of that puddle of yellow. Cool. All right, and while I got the green going here, looking if I'm sitting, I don't feel anything. There was a wet spot. All right, and I'm going to get a brighter yellow orange here. There we go. Kind of a grungy looking green. For that stem, throw this. Okay. Back to my purple. And I need a little more contrast in some of this. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to work a little more of a purple right up against this. Right like that. And then we'll pull it out with a little more red. There we go. And same drill over here. Just need to make this pop. There we go. All right, right up here. darker right up here like that, right along this edge right here. I'm going to pull it clear back down around here. And we're going to start bringing some of that redder colors in right here. And we'll bring it around more orange. There we go. That's starting to work. All those colors kind of come together right there. All right, that's looking fun. Soften that up just a little bit. That's a little too harsh. There we go. And I see one more spot. Get a little more purpley red right in this. Good. All right. All right, so that's working nicely, and I'm going to get a little shade going here over here in this last puddle. Mix it up fairly thick. I need some contrast. I'm going to bounce around and add the pop in there. All right, we got a stem up here. Need to get. I'll mix a little reddish brown in there. All right, again, I got to be careful not to put my hand in any wet spots. And this is a great thing to practice. Work with your mark making. Throw a little more right back there. All right, now I'm just going to pop around and get some of the contrast and colors starting to, I need to get a little separation in spots. Yeah, that's starting to work. There's actually a fairly fine little edge right here. Oh, and I don't have that little divot popped in there just yet. There we go. And I'm going to just kind of highlight it. I'm going to pull that right down there on that shadow side like that. That's looking good. That's a little harsh, but I can soften it. I'm just going to come in, just send it out a little bit. That looks pretty good. I'm going to get a little more of an orangey yellow here, or dark orangey yellow. If I'm lucky. There we go. A little more red in it. There we go. Yep. Yeah, it's just all about contrast, saturations, pushing and pulling, your mark making, the texture marks you're going to make. Some of that dirty yellow. I'm going to throw it down out here. There we go. All right, I need to clean a spot. And I need a nice orange. Glaze a little more orange in this. Good. Yeah, this one's, I got too crazy with the red here, I think. I'll just throw a little more color in here and just even it out a little bit. And come up here. I'm going to pick a little bit. Here we go. That looks better. And this over here needs more orange. Just need a little more modeling there. And I am just pulling some of that out into the foreground, softening out some of those, just letting that color be a little more fluid. getting some of those crunchy paper strokes. That looks pretty cool. Good. Oh yeah. All right. That is a quick, that would be a great, just in class, real quick study, still life study. I'd have my students work on irregular shapes, natural organic shapes, nothing that they have to fuss a lot with. And we have a fun little still life. All right, there we go. Fun little still life. Give this a try. I think it's a lot of fun. You ought to be doing these things, these type of little still lifes, anything, things with lots of color, a lot of color contrasts and things like that, just to really keep building and expanding your watercolor knowledge, your color mixing, your application, your wet brush, your dry brush, your states of paper, all that stuff. Just do a lot of these little studies and your skills are really going to improve. So, hey, I hope you got something out of this tutorial today. And if you did, please give me a like and a subscribe. Head over to my video description. I have links on my website, links in the description. And I have all sorts of resources for you to download on Loomis drawing, heads and hands, and figure drawing, Bridgman, Riley. I have affiliate links out there as well, so if you click on those, it takes you over to Amazon. You buy something, I'll get a small commission. That really helps support the channel as well. I have links in the video description for Gumroad, where I have 2 digital products, 15-week beginner to intermediate, a calendar of projects, and a multiple-page syllabus that has a little more detail and information in it. Get out there, buy those. That supports the channel. And if you think I'm doing anything on this channel, providing these free videos, please head over to Patreon and give me a $5 a month membership. All of this will really help keep the channel going, keep me working on this and providing these tutorials and demos. Hey, I really appreciate it. You guys are the best, and I'll see you in the next demo.